Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Power Rangers deck building unboxing. This is for the Omega Forever expansion. So we previously had just the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and then we had the Zeo Rangers as both core game sets. This is actually a true expansion because you can't play it without one of those core sets. It doesn't include enough cards, basically. You are going to get four new you're gonna get a couple new starting cards. You're gonna get some, regular main deck cards that are all themed around this. You're gonna get four new heroes, four new villains, so you can play either side, and like Zords and their appropriate cards. But yeah, you're not gonna have enough cards to make a full deck. And so, if you don't know about the Omega Rangers, this is brief spoilers. I'm not gonna dive into every single little thing about them. Partly because I don't know about it. Partly just because it's Power Rangers is a lot of lore, but the Omega Rangers are the original, three of the original Power Rangers, Jason, Trini, and Zach, who when they left during the original Mighty Morphin series, they ended up going into space, becoming the Omega Rangers, and they do lots of space battles and things like that. In the comic book, it retcons a lot of stuff from the TV show. So the stuff where they do come back and they meet because of the shattered grid and all this other stuff. And they do eventually get a Blue Ranger as well, who's an interesting character. Should be spoilers about that. And then this guy behind him is one of the emissaries. So these are basically like the original, they were the original Morphing Masters, I believe. And then they kind of upgraded into the emissaries. Basically, they fluctuate in the comic books. Between all the different Ranger forms. You can kind of see on him, he's got like Dino Thunder here, he's got In Space, up here he's got the Dino Ranger Blue, Mighty Morphin. Oh yeah, so they're constantly in flux every time you like different image on which Ranger they're fluctuating between in their colors. It's just kind of a neat thing. They're sort of like guides. Interesting concept. Alright, so we're going to get a bunch of stuff. So we're going to go ahead and just hop in and see what we got here. So here is our instruction book. So, yeah, you're going to get a bunch of new stuff in here. So a couple of things for setup. You have to use one of the core sets. So you need a Zeo or Rangers. And then RPM is coming out. It's not out as of this, so you could probably mix that in as well. I think that's a full set. But I'm not 1000% sure right now. Might be another small expansion. But every deck has one set of blasters and one set of stun cards. So this one has Omega Strike, which are basically can replace the blasters. You can either use the original blasters, or you can use either the blasters from Zeo, from Rangers, or you can use the Omega Strike, but you can only use one of them. Then you want to have 12 stun cards from one of the two sets. So it's a way you can mix and match all three sets together. Same thing like the Zord Bay and the Layer. You pick which one to use, because I know that Zeo has one that's slightly different than regular Mighty Morphing. And that's the same thing with Masters and Rangers. You can mix and match any as long as you keep the Zords with the Rangers and the Masters with their what do they call them? Signatures. Yeah. Keep the character signature and Master Zord cards just for the appropriate character. It says once you have claimed your Master card, create a stack of 4 or 5 Masters. And if there's only one villain, or 5 if there's only one villain player. And then place it near the grid. By choosing it. So in this one, there are 5 characters, so you can use any of them. And then create a stack of 4 Zords or 5 if there's only one hero. So if you chose the Mega Zord to require a specific Zord, like the Mega Dragon Zord requires a Dragon Zord, you have to include the Dragon Zord in there. Yeah, so basically, yeah, you can mix and match his characters, which is really fun. Then the player deck, they have a couple extra cards. Each character gets to add an 11th card called the Omega Morpher. Or the Anointed. So you get some special stuff there. You can have the Omega Coins, which are these extra little tokens you're going to get, dual-sided tokens. There's Fusion Zords, which we'll go over a little bit later. There's the main deck. So if it says you want to set up the main deck, includes 4 new cards of each type. So how it specifies doing the setting up a main deck is pick one of each type: hero, villains, equipment, maneuvers, and then choose each of the costs. So a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. So you can mix and match any single one. So you could have the 2 costs from the Mighty Morphin, the 3 costs from Zeal, and then the 4 and 5 costs, from this set if there are 4 and 5 costs in here. So you can have, mix and match however you want, just as long as you have, the 4 different ones. And as for location, choose, for here it's saying, it says do that and then add them to this deck. Because then you're adding them with each of the other ones, which are 2, 3, 4s, and 5s. So in the end, you're gonna have 2 copies of each sets. So 4 2s, 4 3s, 4 4s, and 5 5s. So if you're adding this one to one of the other ones, basically you're pulling out like half the set. Locations, this is adds these 2 locations to 6, so you have a total of 8. So you should have 70 cards: 16 heroes, 16 villains, 16 equipment, 16 maneuvers, 6 locations. And then basically you can mix and match them however you want. You can also add the Zeal crystals from that set. There's some specifics on how these characters play, which we'll go over all of them when we get there. Omega coins, Zords, combination attacks, some neat stuff there. But I like going over it as we look at the cards. So let's just start by looking at our Rangers. So we're going to start with our Jason Lee Scott here in his teenager form. So he just used maneuvers on the side, hero and equipment on the top and bottom. Got the little mega symbol in the bottom corner. So it says when all 4 slots are filled, you attach your Zord to this card bay and flip this card. So like usual. It says when you play the Omega Morpher, draw 1 card. And then if you have his coin, you can discard the Omega coin to flip your card until the end of turn. So all the Omega Rangers have this. They can spend their Omega coin, basically spend it as like a cost, and then they can flip over to their Ranger coin, your Ranger for before ahead of time for like 1 extra turn. So it's gonna quickly, we'll just look at these characters quick. Then we'll explain how the Omega Morpher works. So you have the Omega Red Ranger, who has cost or as pay for. Your attacks deal plus 2 damage this turn when you attack. You may, when an attack you make is negated, lose 1 HP. So he didn't do extra damage, but he suffers if he gets hit. And then if you spend your Omega coin on this side, it says place this on a card attached to a foe. So you take your Omega coin, put it on a foe's card, deal 2 damage to that foe each time it exhausts. So it's kind of fun. It's a little bit different thing to do there. We have Zach Taylor. So it says when you play Omega Morpher, destroy a card you control, and then discard your Omega coin to flip him. So he gets 2 equipment, a hero, and a maneuver. And then he has Omega Black Ranger. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a starter, lose 1 HP and draw it. If not, attack, deal 5 damage. And then place on a Zord. Ready that Zord immediately and activate it at no cost. Trini Kwan. When you're playing a Mega Morpher, heal 1 HP instead of losing 1 HP. Then discard the Omega Coin to flip her. And her Yellow Ranger form. Reveal the top card of your deck. If it's an equipment or maneuver, heal 4. If not, draw it and gain 1 stun. Placing your attack card on an attack ranger, that card deals plus 2 damage. So it's kind of neat. So Red Ranger hinders people from playing their cards. Black Ranger helps you Zord. Yellow Ranger boosts up your cards. And then we have the 4th, the brand new member, which is Kaya. Kaya or maybe Tia. So she gets more hero cards, some equipment and maneuvers. It says when you heal, draw a card. Discard your Omega coin to flip her. And when you go to Omega, she's the Omega Blue Ranger. Pay 5 to attack. Deal 2 damage to target foe, and that foe discards 2 cards. Then destroy 1 villain in the grid. If you can't, lose 2 HP. And then you can place her coin on the grid. Foes cannot buy or battle that card. Heroes pay 2 fewer shards to buy that card. So that's kind of neat. Alright, so before we jump into their weapons and stuff, let's look at these Omega Morphers. So you're going to get 2 copies, so basically 1 for each player. So if for some reason you want to play a 4-player game with like heroes against heroes, I don't know why you would do that, but if you did, you have to buy another set of this because you only get 2 copies. But what this does is when this card is played from your hand, you lose 1 HP and you gain your Omega coin. As simple as that, and that's how they gain their coins. The thing is, anytime you play this card, you have to take your coin. So if you played, for example, if you used Kia's ability here, the Blue Rangers, and you put this card and that card in the grid, and then your next turn you immediately played a Omega Morpher, that card would bounce back to your hand. So that's something you probably wouldn't want to do. Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting little thing there. So I just want to look through the instructions here. Yeah, so start of the game, each Ranger collects their maximum coin, keeps it nearby. When an Omega coin is gained by playing Omega Morpher, place on your Ranger character card. Remember that our teenage side can be discarded to flip their character card until the end of their turn. When it's placed on the Ranger side, it can be placed on that card to activate a special ability. If Omega coin is assigned to a card that is later removed from player discard, set the Omega coin aside temporarily. It means inactive and is gained once again using the Morpher. If you play the Morpher, you must gain your Omega card. So you kind of have to watch when you want to play that card because you might end up ruining the effect you have. But also if something gets destroyed or purchased, then that coin just sits off to the side. So this is also a neat thing. It says, well, temporarily on the Ranger side, a hero could attach their forced card still flip back to their teenager at the end of the turn. If this happens, the text on the teenage side triggers, immediately flips to the Ranger side, and attaches their Zord. So basically, yeah, you could flip over to your Ranger side, then play it, use your effect or ever, play a card. You flip back to teenager, then immediately flip back over. And this is legal and encouraged to discard an Omega coin to flip a Ranger to the Ranger side. Play the Omega Morpher to gain their Omega coin, activate their Omega Ranger ability, and then this coin remains active until the Omega coin is gained or discarded from play. So it's a fun way you can use that without having to be the Ranger for a full turn. So it's actually kind of cool. Alright, then before we jump in, or we're going to jump into their weapons, let's see what they got. So the Red Ranger has the Omega Katana. 6 cost signature item, pay 6 to deal 2 damage, and then deal 2 more damage. Black Ranger gets the Omega Kamas. So I like how so far it's like, so the original Red Ranger, Jason, had a power sword. Now he has a katana, a little bit, slimmer, more ninja-y version. And then the Black Ranger used to have an axe, and now he has 2 kind of like tiny hand axes. It's kind of a neat little nod there. She has attack, deal 4 damage, and each foe discards 1 card. But then on the other hand, Trini goes from having 2 size into having a maul or a giant hammer. 6, deal 6 damage and lose 2 HP, then discard this card. So yeah, she does a lot more damage, but she takes a hit for it, because she's probably a little bit slower. Then the Blue Ranger gets the Omega Trident, which does kind of go back to the staff kind of trident that the original Blue Ranger had. So it'd be kind of interesting to know if they ever added an Omega Pink Ranger, if she would get some sort of bow or ranged projectile attack, kind of like the original Pink Ranger. So she has block, negate an attack, deal 1 damage, heal 2, and draw 1 card, and then discard this card. So Blue Ranger is all kind of about protecting, which is really interesting. Then we're going to look at their Zords. Alright, so these Zords are actually kind of cool. I mean, neat design. Not really based off of anything. Um, so the Red Omega Zord says, pay 2 to attack, deal 3 damage, or swap the Zord for a matching Fusion Zord. And we'll explain Fusion Zords when I get through all 3 cards. Fusion Zords are really interesting. So the Black Omega Zord, target foe gains 1 stun for each card they have in their discard pile, or swap for a matching Fusion Zord. The Yellow Omega Ranger, block, negating attack, lose 1 HP. And the Blue Omega Zord has attack, deal 2 damage, and then disrupt 2 cards in your discard pile. So they can be played regular Zords just like anything else, but then they have these special Zord Fusion Mode cards. It says, when this card is fused, retrieve a Zord from outside the game and place it on the bottom of the Zord's Zord stack. And then, so what you do is then attach this card to another Zord in play. So, how does this work? Let's just look at the instructions. Usually the easiest way to go over this. So it can be exhausted by paying normal. They have a secondary fusion, allows you to simply pay a cost. When the fusion ability is activated, remove the Omega Zord from play and retrieve the matching Fusion Zord from the Fusion stack. This Fusion Zord is immediately attached to another Zord in play, then ready both cards so the text is visible at the bottom. So basically, you can have them sit like this, or you can stack it on top. It basically grants them an extra ability. So like for this example, it would take the Tyrannosaurus Rex, it says attack, deal 1 damage for each hero you control, and also give it the ability, this attack cannot be negated. It's going to make that Tyrannosaurus Rex even better, so it's Tyrannosaurus Rex Black, which is kind of neat. If you kind of line the borders up together. It says, also when you create a Fusion Zord, as mentioned on the card, take a Zord of your choice from outside the game and stack in a grid at the bottom. This guarantees that if you're ambitious, you can still potentially have a full Zord team, and 4 of them could be fused Zords. You can't attach more than 1 fused Zord to a single face-up card. Once you have attached a Fusion Zord, you cannot later detach it. If it is transformed into their Fusion Zord, their teammates still gain -2. In a rare instance, you would discard a Zord with a Fusion Zord attached to it, discard the top Zord card to a single rare stack, return the Fusion Zord stack, retrieving the matching Omega Zord and put it into Zord Bay. So, yeah, it's kind of neat. So, so basically if I'm playing 5 Rangers and I had the 4 Omegas and I had, the Tyrannosaurus Rex, I could attach it to the Tyrannosaurus Rex and then immediately I get a different card to play in there, so I always have the option of having my 5 Zords to upgrade to Omega Zord. And you could also attach these to the other Zords here, so I could do a red Zord, a blue Omega Zord red, and then so the attack says, this says perform the ability a second time, so I could do my attack twice. So it's actually kind of cool. You could attach it either way. Then we have the black one, which will let you attack not be negated. The yellow, draw 1 card, and this card does not exhaust, but can still only be activated once per turn. And then blue has heal 1, then disrupt your 2 cards in your discard pile. It's just a fun little twist on how all the Zords work. Alright, then let's look at our bad guys. So before we look at the big cards, we're going to look at the 2 starter deck cards for them first. We have the Anointed. So this is the opposite of their the Omega Morphers. So this is when you play this, card is played from your hand, lose 1 HP. Yeah, so basically it's kind of like a weak card for them. They gain a bonus, but they end up taking damage. But that's part of the Anointed, it's part of their storyline. Alright, then let's look at our thing. So here's a spoiler. We have a villain, which is the Anointed Kaya. So when she becomes anointed, she becomes evil. She has maneuver and villains. When all 4 slots are filled, draw 1 card, flip this card. You pay 1 less to buy or battle your first card from the grid each turn. Then when she flips over, she is the Anointed Omega Blue Ranger. She becomes an evil Blue Ranger for a while. Attack, deal 3 damage, and then destroy a hero on the grid. If you can't, lose 2 HP. Then we have Dane, who has Equipment, Villain, and Maneuver. It says, at the start of the game, shuffle Dane's Plasma Energy Batons into your deck. So instead of gaining an active ability, he has a passive starting ability. We'll talk about that when we get to his item, his signature cards. There's his empowered version. Swap Dane's attached signature item for another in his stack. It comes into play ready. Use this any number of times during your turn. So he's got some interesting signature abilities. We have Garrison Vox. At the start of your turn, attack, deal 1 damage, and heal 1. And when we flip him, he has pay 6 to deal 4 damage and draw 1 card. So a little bit more straightforward than some of the other characters. And then we have Cabotus, or Cabotus, I'm not sure. He has 2 maneuvers and a villain. So at the start of your turn, gain 2 and lose 1 HP. Your attacks deal -1 damage. So he doesn't, he's kind of weak right now. So you want to flip him over. It says, but if you're dealt 5 plus total damage from in a single turn, not necessarily from a single source, but in a single turn. And at the start of your turn, you're always going to lose at least 1 HP here anyhow. And that sharp HP counts as damage, though. He becomes empowered. He gains like he's like one of the Anointed. He gains some morphing energy. It says at the start of your turn, gain 2 and lose 1 HP, but now your attacks deal +1 damage. It says, but if you deal 5 plus total damage in a single turn, flip this card immediately. So if he does a lot of damage, he flips back over. Yeah, kind of an interesting type character to play as. Let's look at their signature weapons. We have the Anointed Kaya's Blue Ranger Energy Trident. Attack, deal 2 damage. You may discard up to 3 cards from your hand. For each card you discard from your hand, attack, deal 2 damage. Then we have Dane's Plasma Energy Batons. Attachment. At the start of your turn, gain 2. When detached or destroyed, return to Dane's stack. So he starts with these right off the bat. You shuffle these into your deck. So he gets to start with these batons right away in his deck. Versus having to buy them with everybody else. Everyone else's cost 6, his cost 0. But what happens is then he has the ability, when he flips over, to swap between them. You can pay 2 to swap between any of his other items. Instead of having 1 signature item, he has 4 other ones. It says Plasma Longsword. This doesn't have a cost. You can switch between them. But you can pay 6 to attack to deal 4 damage. When detached, return to his stack. He has this Plasma Torch. You can pay 4 to search your deck for a card of your choice, put it in your hand, then reshuffle. If it's ever detached, add it to its stack. The Plasma Whip, which does 9, but attack target. Foe gains 3 stuns. When detached, return to his stack. And then he has a Plasma Shield. 5, block, reduce the damage from an attack up to 5. So he's got some various options. He can do some good damage, do lots of high damage, do some stuns, do some blocking, search cards. Garrison Vox has Savage Charge. Pay 7 to attack, deal 1 damage for each card in your discard pile. If this attack is negated, lose 1 HP. And then Cabotus has Morphing Energy Blast. Pay 5 to deal 8 damage, then discard this card. It's a very interesting character. He takes damage, you kind of gotta play around with what he does. But yeah, then you have to discard it. Then they have their master cards, which are like the villain Zords. So, Anointed Kaya says, ongoing, at the start of your turn, draw up to 2 cards, lose 1 HP for each card drawn this way. Luckily, it's up to, so you can always choose to draw 0. Gain has ongoing when you buy an equipment, gain 3. It's not bad. Kavokus, ongoing. At the start of your turn, you may discard 1 card to heal 2. So once you get him out, that'll definitely help him. And then Garrison Vox. Ongoing, at the start of your turn, attack, deal 1 damage, and heal 1. So nice. And plus, the little healing stuff isn't too bad, because then you can kind of use that with Kaya's ability. Alright. Then we're going to look at the Omega Strike. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 12 copies of this. This is our new blaster, basically. You gain the 2 yellow shards. So Omega Strike. At the end of your turn, you may destroy this card. If you do, heal 1, or target foe loses 2 HP and you lose 1 HP. So basically, if you use its effect, you can either heal or do damage. Or you can just use it for its simple ability. So it's kind of neat. Definitely, just switch up them basic cards. It's one thing I feel a lot of deck building games get wrong, is they don't have a way to switch up basic cards. You're always stuck with, the same exact stuff. I mean, I love Marvel Legendary, one of the bigger, more well-known deck building games around for a while. But they've never re-released a core set outside of the villains or the Marvel Cinematic one, which Marvel Cinematic was essentially just a reprint for the most part. But the villains is different. But the base set, they never reprinted it, so they've never gotten any different base cards. Which I get, you don't want that game. Everyone starts with the same exact ones. They don't have different abilities where they do on here. But they eventually did start to add some to they have a side deck you can always purchase from. They eventually did start adding oh, these have other cards with different abilities on instead of just the basic one, which made that deck more fun to buy from. So that's kind of cool. Alright, anywho, so we have our blue emissary. So it's kind of neat to see if throughout this game we do get the other colored emissaries and maybe some of the other sets. They just sprinkle them in here and there. But here's our hero cards. We have 2 copies of these. So let's look at the top 3 cards of the main deck, reveal 1 of them, and then buy one. Reveal 1 of them, then buy it or destroy it. Then return the other top 2 cards in the main deck in any order. So you kind of get an option of 3 cards where you can destroy it. It's a villain, get rid of it. Hero, buy it. Kind of neat. We have Archon. Block, negate, negating attack, discard 1 hero from the grid, or lose 2 HP, then discard this card. I didn't even look at his bottoms. His gets you 3 energy if you beat him, rather than buying him. And his says discard, target foe discards 1 attached card. That's actually pretty powerful. We have XI, or 9. I'm not sure which way it's pronounced for the comics, because they just listed it as the text. But this is the robot that pilots their ship. Sentient robot, I guess. When you attach this card, lose 1 HP. Attachment. When an attack is negated during your turn, draw a card and get 1 energy. Otherwise, being negated, draw 2 cards. We have the Ranger Slayer, who's so this is our pink ranger for the set. It's a whole thing I'm not going to get into in this video, but I am evil Kimberly from an alternate dimension. Shattered grid stuff. So it says reduce the cost of the battle, your next adversary this turn by 3, and then you can also heal 2. Then for our villains, we have Queen Arderol. So you can pay 2 to put a card from your discard pile into your hand, or heal 2. Kavokus, gains 6, or attack, deal 2 damage to target foe, and gains 1 stun. And his bottom one lets him gain 3. We have the Anointed, block, negating attack. Discard 1 villain from the grid, or discard 2 cards from your hand, or draw 2 cards. And Garrison Vox, attack, deal 1 damage, and attack, deal 1 damage. If neither attack is negated, also heal 3. Or target foe gains 1 stun. because there are different heroes and villains for our main deck. Then we have some equipment. Temporary equipment. The next time you buy or gain a card from the grid this turn, you may attach it to a matching empty slot on your character. Secret weapon. Attack, deal 3 damage, then discard this card. Galactic Steel. Block, negate an attack, then discard this card. If this block was activated from your hand, draw 3 cards and destroy one of them. Monster Containment Jars. Target foe reveals their hand and discards 1 hero or villain of your choice. If they reveal none, you lose 1 HP. We have some maneuvers. The blue cards. Come get some. Block, negate an attack, then immediately attack. Deal 2 damage and discard this card. Focus Blast. Deal 4 damage and you gain 1 stun. Targeted Strike. There's Dane fighting the original Power Rangers. So some of that crossover. Destroy 1 attached card or 1 card in your hand and deal damage equal to the cost, then lose 2 HP. So a lot of stuff in this set about doing stuff and then losing health. Powered by the Grid. Attack, deal damage equal to the cost of a card you bought from the grid this turn. That's actually really fun. Alright, then we have 1 copy of each of these locations. We have the Eternity Point, ongoing. When you buy a card from the grid, gain 2. Safe Haven. When you battle a card in the grid, heal 1 and gain 1, which would be really great for this set with all that HP loss. The Spectrum, which is their ship. I believe this is the Ranger ship. At the start of your turn, draw 3 cards, then discard 2 of them, and then lose 1 HP. And finally, Zords 2, which I believe are the Anointed are from. And again, I might be wrong on that. At the start of your turn, attack, deal 2 damage. If this attack is negated, lose 1 HP. I love these effects with the, if do this damage, and then if they're negated, you take damage. So it's kind of like, very risky attacks. Like, we're not taking the safe attack. We're not taking the calculated, aiming, targeting, like make sure we have a safe attack. It's more like rushing and do damage. Hey, if we fail, we get hurt for it. Which I find very interesting. Alright, so that is what we have for the Power Rangers deck building game Omega Forever expansions. We get 4 new villains, 4 new heroes to play as, with very interesting effects like the morphers and that. Although you're only going to probably want to include the Anointed in Omega if you're using these characters. Otherwise the Omega morpher doesn't do anything for you. So the other thing we want to show off before we end this video is the promo pack. So, Renegade Studios, there's their logo there. Whenever they do these releases for these new games, Power Rangers, Transformers, G.I. Joes, whatever, Vampire the Masquerade, My Little Ponies, all their stuff, they usually have a pre-order bonus. So if you pre-order these, you get this special pack of cards or box with extra stuff in it for free. Then, if you can also go on their site and rebuy them later. So if you didn't get this, you can purchase this later if you want these. So this is bonus pack 1. They're neat in this set, but this is probably the weakest one out of all the pre-orders, because usually the other pre-orders are like extra characters, or like the first 2 Power Ranger sets had one had the White Ranger, the second one had Zeo set had General Vengeance. She had extra characters, like the Transformer one added extra characters to the Transformer. G.I. Joe added extra G.I. Joe characters. So this one's kind of weak because it's just foil cards. It's nothing new. But if you like foil cards, these are definitely cool. So I'm just going to kind of fly through these sort of quick. It's the same exact cards as the ones you get. They're just neat, shiny versions of the cards. Now, they're alright. I mean, me personally, for someone that's been playing games a long time, this is just an overall gloss on there. You can kind of see, like, it's an overall sheen on the entire card. It's not really focused anywhere. Like, on the Black Ranger, you can kind of see where, like, his gold shoulder pads, or sorry, silver shoulder pads and gold bands stand out more than the rest of the artwork. You can kind of even see it on these ones where you can focus it just right. You can see like the lines, the details on the character are a little bit different layered shine. So they kind of stand out. But overall, it's just the entire thing was foiled. Always reminds me sort of just kind of like the extra foil card in the Magic the Gathering or like Pokemon packs. As opposed to the much cooler foils in it's like that. You can say where her suit's not as foiled. It's just kind of neat if you get it in that right light, but if it was just the artwork and not the rest of the card that was also foiled, that may have made it stand out a bit more. But yeah, if you look at the DBZ or Digimon foil cards, they do really well. It's like the attacks and stuff around the character are foiled, and then the actual character itself is not. So it makes that character stand out. So like on Dane here, if they just foil like that red around him and like his eyes and nothing else, that would have stood out so much better. But yeah, these are still nice. You know, if you like foil cards, pick them up. It's like here, it's like the character stands out and not the energy. And like I feel like it should have been the other way around. And like on some of the regular versions, like it's just more of the overall character and the background fades, and then you get to their powered version. You know, here's a little bits of him, but it's not all of them. Like they didn't do the top parts, so I don't know. That's just my thoughts on them. Yeah, basically for me, I got these for free because I pre-ordered. Would I have ordered them separately, knowing that that's all they were, spoil cards? Maybe, but only as a collector, being like I want everything. But like I wouldn't have maybe rushed to do it. Just because they don't add any gameplay value. I'd rather have gameplay value or alternate art cards. If they would have been alternate art, even if they weren't foiled, I would have loved them. Like just alt art on one side, like different Rangers, different art style or whoever, like, you know, that would have been cool. Alright, but that's what we got for the Omega Forever expansion. Check out the other two sets, the regular and the Zeo, and the upcoming RPM, which is definitely fun because they don't have the RPM yet in Heroes of the Grid, you know, regular board game, card games. So it's kind of cool. It'll be a first foray into those characters. Alright, see you guys then. Bye.